What is the end game, though? Because this is asymmetric. You have Iron Dome, provided in part by the United States. You have air defenses against these rockets. So far, they've worked. In Gaza, they don't. So you may be targeting Hamas suspects, but you are hitting civilians as well, including children, and the toll is rising. What is the end game? How do you take out Hamas's long-range rockets, and take out the Hamas leaders or the suspects without killing women and children?
Well, it is asymmetric, Andrea, but it's asymmetric for a different reason. It's not asymmetric because we have the capability to defend ourselves. That's something that the Jewish people didn't have for a very, very long time. Israel provides the Jewish people with the capability to defend themselves against attacks. That's not what makes it asymmetric. What makes it asymmetric is that we are facing an enemy, a terrorist organization, Hamas, committed to Israel's destruction. It's fired thousands of rockets at Israel. They deliberately target our civilians, our women and children. The difference with Israel is we do not deliberately target their civilians. We deliberately target the terrorists. Unfortunately, sometimes in those actions, there are civilians that come into harm's way. We do everything we can as a government and as a military to keep Palestinian civilians out of harm's way. We take action that I'm not sure, Andrea, any army in the world, including the American military, take in order to keep Palestinian civilians out of harm's way. We do everything we can in order to achieve that objective. Every single loss of life of any innocent is obviously a tragedy, but we do not deliberately target civilians. That's the moral difference between us and the terrorists. We should never forget that.
That may be a moral difference, but with all due respect, given the density of Gaza, and I know that the Israeli army gives 5-minute warnings, calls homes and says, get out of the house, we're about to hit a rocket attack. You send warning shots. I'm aware of all of that. That said, you're hitting women and children inevitably because of the density of Gaza. That's the reality.
Andrew, we have to defend our population. What do you think the United States, the American people, would want their government to do if 3/4 of the population of this country, well over 200 million people, would come under the threat of rocket fire? What do you think they would demand from their government and military to do? That's the situation we have in Israel. We don't seek any conflict with Hamas. We didn't want this conflict with Hamas. In fact, the Prime Minister said last week that quiet from Hamas, the end of rocket fire, will be met by quiet on Israel's side. We don't seek any confrontation with Hamas, but we have no choice but to defend our civilians and our population. We cannot tolerate rocket attacks, and we appreciate very much, Andrea, that the President of the United States, through the White House yesterday, they issued a statement making clear that the United States stands with Israel as it's defending itself.